Welcome to Understanding Conscious Cryptids with me, Kat Hansen. I am bringing you this show in an attempt to educate you about the forgotten creatures and beings that exist alongside of us on this amazing planet that we call home. Many of these hidden beings are elusive and highly intelligent. Our ancient ancestors of North and South America knew of and understood these beings quite well. I have designed this show as a sister program to our Understanding Sasquatch series. Many people are coming into contact with these elusive creatures, and they do not have any knowledge or understanding of what it is they are seeing and interacting with. This oftentimes leaves these individuals fearful and confused. It's my intention to shed some light and share knowledge through this series. I'm going to help alleviate that fear and confusion. It is time for the light to shine through the darkness. If you are interested in sharing your encounter, contact me directly at cathansen@yahoo.com, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello and welcome everyone. This is going to be the very first show on Cryptid University, or Understanding Conscious Cryptids, as I like to call it. This first show is going to be about the Dogman, or what people commonly call the Dogman. My people, the Chata people, call him Nashobachito. There are actually several different types of this cryptid. This being has quite a number of forms, one of them being the very tall werewolf-like being that everyone seems to be talking about. They look very similar to the Van Helsing movie types. They are usually over the 6-foot mark, very beefy individuals with very nasty temperaments. These are the ones that do not like humans. These specific individuals were created by humans. They were created by Native Americans long ago with the specific purpose of defeating the giants that roamed the North American continent. Now, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with that mythos or legend telling, so I will tell that story. It's not a very pretty story, and it's not something that we are proud of, but I feel that it's very important that we elaborate on this, because as people are seeing this crypto animal, that we have to make sure that people understand exactly what it is they are seeing. This being was created by taking the very worst of the human warriors, the Native American warriors, the ones who were proud of killing, the ones who liked killing, the strongest, the ones who had the worst temperaments, and they were all brought together by several different tribes, and they were created using some form of magic. And yes, I said the bad word, magic. And they were joined specifically with the wolf spirit. These were created to fight the giants that were ravaging the North American continent at the time, and were killing the Native American peoples, women and children, as well as the men, but predominantly they were killing the women and children, taking them to rape and eat, and the men were constantly fighting them. It was literally a hand-to-mouth situation with fighting them and surviving through them. So several of the tribes came together, picked out their warriors
that they had chosen, that volunteered for this job. And magic was used to join the spirits of the men, these depraved men, to the spirit of the wolf, which we have always considered to be a very great spirit because they are very cunning, very strong, very wise, very smart animals. And in doing this, we created the very first super soldier. This being was created to destroy and fight and savage the giants, which is what they did. They literally went out and fought these huge men and killed them. They were actually strong enough to outsmart them and join together and kill them. But in so doing, after these giants were killed and destroyed, these Nashovachito, as we call them, were left over. And because they were men that had come from the different tribes, we welcomed them back into our tribes, not necessarily understanding that we had created a true monster and had allowed that monster in among us. We found out after we allowed them back that they could not be among us because they were the worst of the worst. They were combined with the spirit that was an animal that did in fact kill, and the depraved part of that spirit enjoyed killing, so they were killing tribal members. They were going out and about doing these terrible things, and it became overburdening to the tribes, and they cried to Great Spirit. They went to supposedly the magic rocks where they had made these two spirits joined and asked Great Spirit to take these Nashovachito warriors away, and he refused because basically men had created and dabbled where they were not supposed to. We are just mere humans. We are not supposed to play God. So he refused to totally take them away. He said that because they were earthborn on both sides, being wolf and man, that they had a place here. But as he stood back and watched these creations interact with the tribes, he realized just how savage and cunning and actually evil they were. And he watched the races slowly being decimated by these creatures that man had created. So he gave in, and he opened a doorway between two worlds. And he said that he would place these creatures into this doorway onto another world. And at certain times of the year, depending on which tribe they were from originally, their doorway would open on their tribal lands and allow them back through to the earth, allowing them to walk this earth until such time as that doorway would happen to shut again, calling them back, and then it would shut. Now this is why we have Nashovachito here. He is allowed to come and stay until such time as portal, vortex, whatever you wish to call it, opens, deposits him here. He is free reign here until such time as it closes, and the earth energy calls him back. And he literally has to step back through that portal and back into his own landscape where Great Spirit has put him to. Be that another time, another place. I work with them, so I just can call it another realm, another interdimensional realm. And yes, they really do exist. So these particular beings, I do not advise contact with. You are seeing them more and more because as we become more populated, people are treading more and more onto tribal lands that used to be tribal lands where Native Americans, indigenous peoples lived. And so you will be seeing them more and more. But the problem here is that in doing so, you're going to have more and more run-ins with them. These are the guys who cause the cattle mutilations, animal mutilations. They terrorize people, chase after people, and may be even responsible for human murders, mutilations. And that's not unheard of. So I do not advise contact with these guys. As a matter of fact, I have several people at a time that do contact me asking about them. I get a lot of contact from people that run into these guys and want to know what they are and how to deal with them. And my advice is stay away from them because they will hurt you. They have just as much right to be here as you do. And their temper is 200 times worse than yours. These guys are big and scary and nasty. The next ones that I would like to talk about are the ones that you seem to see popping up in a lot of researchers' videos. I've noticed that a lot of the Bigfoot researchers out there have them in their videos. These are the little guys. They're not harmful in any way, shape, or form. They are literally dog people. They are about the size of a German Shepherd. There's quite a few videos on YouTube that you can catch them in. People wandering through the forest seem to find them in their videos after they go home. These are the ones that are spying on them. They're always peeking out from the foliage. They look like a German Shepherd or a small wolf, and they look very dog-like. These are the ones that are actually the dog people, and we always call them Ophi, which just means dog. They just are, my understanding as I was told growing up and being trained to be the medicine woman that I am, it was related to me that these beings were placed here a long time ago, thousands upon thousands of years ago, and they come from Sirius. I know that sounds kind of hard to believe for most non-Native Americans, but we believe that the stars are very well populated, and we know for a fact that they are. And the Ophi are a type of people. They're a race of people. They came here and inhabit our planet in the forests. They do not wish to make contact very often with us. They pretty much have a live and let live mentality. You actually will see them from time to time in the forest with spears. I've only ever seen them maybe, I'm trying to think here on my hands, I'm counting my fingers and toes here, folks, maybe 7 or 8 times in my entire life with something other than a spear. They hunt in a pack. They do walk upright. They do run on all fours too. They talk in barks, believe it or not. They have a language that you can translate. It's very similar to any other language out there. They were brought here and dropped off by something or someone that is a type of master race to them. And I think the intent was to have them repopulate this planet. But unfortunately, this planet was not conducive to them. It's very hostile to them. So it wasn't conducive to them. They still live here in small packs, tribes, clans, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of times, these are the people that you will hear about children being lost in the forest, and they will say that a dog found them and a dog brought them home, or the dog talked to them and brought them home, helped them to not be afraid. They usually go to small children and bring them back to humans. They're very friendly that way. They don't, like I said, they don't want interaction with adults per se. They do understand the difference between adults and children. To them, it's just like us with children. Children are something special and to be guarded, so they understand the nature of a child and they want to keep them safe. So they usually bring them back, if they can, to humans, because that's where they come from. So they are doing humans a favor by bringing them back to us. I've never met one that was vicious. Never. Like I said, they would rather be curious with adults. I have had them follow me, spy on me, trade me, leave me small gifts, things of that nature. But for the most part, they prefer to remain hidden and away from us and spying on us. They do not wish contact. They're harmless. So if you have interaction with these type, I always suggest be friendly. Do not smile and show your teeth, because that is a sign of aggression. Keep your lips down. Offer them whatever you wish to offer them and walk away with your head lowered. That's usually a good sign to them, and pretty much make your own way out of that situation. Like I said, I've never heard of them harming anybody. They pretty much will go their own way. Now, the other one that I want to talk about that people seem to be seeing is the spirit form. Now, these guys are a water spirit, and they're a little bit more amorphous. They're more they're less visible, but the longer they spend in our time, the more solid they become. These guys are a type of water spirit. They stand about between 5.5, 6 feet tall. They're a little bit thinner build. They do look like a wolf, but he walks on 2 legs. They don't speak, and they are frightening looking. I'm not going to say they are not. They do have a very bad smell. They smell like something like rotten meat. They smell like something dead. And that's pretty much because, in a way, they kind of sort of are. These are water spirits. And these guys were used as protection. They were used as protection for the villages and for certain people. They could be assigned to protect a chief or a villager or a medicine man or a healer. It just depended on who they were called up for and what their job title was to be done. Now, these guys were very specific as to what they were called up for. You just didn't call them up and let them roam. So what would happen is this spirit was halfway called through, and then he was locked away in a mound. Now, he could be locked away in an Indian mound, or he could be locked away in an effigy mound. An effigy mound is something like the snake mound, or the Thunderbird mound, or the mounds that look like deer, or bear mounds, that sort of thing. These guys are the great protectors. They were specifically locked away, for instance, to protect a certain village. Okay? Now, what I find happening here a lot of times is that they were locked away in these mounds. The tribe that they belonged to, the medicine man that locked them away, either A, for whatever reason, did not get to release them, or B, was killed, or that whole village was wiped out. Then someone, be it settlers, be it a farmer, or even to this day, there's still a mound somewhere on someone's property, they came through and they destroyed it. Well, just because they destroyed that mound doesn't mean that they destroyed the energy that locked this being into place. And a lot of times what ends up happening is, in specific areas, I find I get Wiccans or people who practice black magic. These are my 2 most common groups who inadvertently summon them up. And either A, they don't know they're summoning them, or B, they do know they're summoning them. They know they're summoning some type of energy. But when they summon them, I end up getting a phone call, because what happens is you've woken this being up. He has stepped out into our world. Instead of waking up to a village full of Native Americans that he is fully used to, he is now waking up oftentimes to a neighborhood with paved roads and houses and white people, white Americans, your average Joe American, walking around in his neighborhood. And he is completely and totally confused. He has absolutely no idea what's going on. All he knows is that he was awoken and that he was summoned. He doesn't know what he was summoned for, but he knows that he has a job to do. He doesn't know what that job is. He knows he's lost. He's looking for someone that looks familiar to him. Someone that looks like a Native American looked 200 or 300 or 400 years ago to help him, that can guide him to the right person to give him his orders. Okay, he is harmless. He is wandering around lost. And when I say harmless, I'm saying harmless to human beings. He is not harmless to animals, because as a water spirit, he needs to eat. He needs to be given sustenance to stay here. And if he is not actively given sustenance by someone who called him up, then he's going to take it, as he knows he is allowed to do. So he will take it in the form of killing chickens, dogs, cats, goats, sheep, maybe a horse, things like that. He's going to take what he thinks it's okay to do. You and I know it's not okay. He doesn't understand. So when I get the call, I usually end up having to come send this thing back to where it came from. And this is because, once again, like I said, I get Wiccans or Druids or pagans or Satanists. I get many, I don't know. There's so many names for all the different types of them that I get that want to call forth things and then don't have a specific spell being that they are trying to summon up. So basically they're playing with fire that they don't put the fire out. This guy will not harm humans. He's terrible to look at, and he smells horrible because he smells like rotten meat, because he is dead. He needs to be put back. So I always ask that if you're one of these groups that does this, please make sure that you are in an area. Do a little bit of research. If you're going to send out a summoning, be very specific about what you're summoning up. And please make sure you're going to do it in an area where there are no mounds or were no mounds. Because, like I said, a lot of mounds got flattened and bulldozed over. So you're not even aware of what's in your own neighborhood. That was 100, 200 years ago. So you're not even aware anymore. And it could be lying just below your feet. Now, I am not condoning magic before I get a bunch of letters telling me, oh my God, you're saying Satanists can summon up these things. You're condoning them to go out and do this. That's their own belief system. It's not my belief system. Okay? I am what I am, and that's all that I can be. I do not push my beliefs onto others, and I do not punish others for their beliefs. I do offer my help to others who have unwittingly unlocked these beings and let them loose. I see no point in holding someone hostage so that I can say shame on you. The point of this channel is to help everyone understand that what is out there is very conscious and very aware of you and what you are doing. Sometimes more so than what you are. And by this, I mean they've had a long time to study human beings. They know what makes human beings tick. They're not dumb. Not by a long shot. They're very wise. Some of them are crafty. Some of them are cunning. And some of them will use these things against you. Yes, they are out there in the woods. And yes, they are watching you. That being said, there is something else out there that is a large, almost dire wolf type being. We call that a wahila. These guys are very big. They come out through portals, and they tend to hide in the woods up north. They're very smart. If you've ever had any interaction with a wolf, you'll know that they are very smart. Well, wahilas are just the same way. They are very large. We have said they have been around prior to the last ice age. They have an uncanny ability to put you where your next track will be. They are that good of a hunter. They can think ahead. In one of my videos on my Hoodoo Woman channel, I have a portal that we chiseled out. The Native Americans of my tribe had chiseled out a Bigfoot footprint and the wahila print right next to it, because we wanted to make sure down through the ages, through time, that people understood that this portal will open under the right circumstances, and what comes through is a Sasquatch along with wahila. You're getting basically two for the price of one. The wahila follows through with the Sasquatch. It's kind of like a freeloader. It follows through and chooses the area because it knows that there will be good hunting in the area that the Sasquatch chooses. And they've followed them for centuries. Now you have to remember that the Sasquatch eat deer and elk and moose. They eat a lot of big game. So these guys have figured out to follow through wherever the Sasquatch go. And there are still instances of them being seen down in California, in Northern California in the woods. People see them every now and then. About a new sighting crops up about every couple years of these huge, massive wolves that stand, over 4 feet tall at the shoulder. And they're just massive. They weigh in excess of over 220 some odd pounds. They're huge. They're absolutely huge. And when people start describing them, they don't sound like a normal wolf. What they sound like is a dire wolf. And that's what my people have always said that they were. They've been there since before the last ice age. They were there walking with the last humans, during that time period. They walked with them and hunted with them and were hunted by them. These guys can eat a human, no problem. And in doing so, that kind of puts a little danger sign out there for people wandering in the woods. If you come across a wolf track that's as big as your foot, and you wear a size 9 shoe, I think you need to be a little bit concerned. It means you've got a wheel around you. These guys are big. Luckily, they don't hunt in packs. I've only ever seen them 2 at a time, and that was a male and a female. Mostly, I've seen them by themselves. So they're always single, predominantly. I'm not going to say always, I should take that back. Predominantly, they're single. So when you are out and about, these are the things for the first show that I want you to be aware of and what is around you. Because just because you don't see them doesn't mean that they don't see you. And I do have some listeners that I've already received letters from before the first show has ever started, and that's why I'm doing this particular show right now, because it was requested. People need to understand that what is occurring out in the forests right now are anything but Sasquatch related. Sasquatch is not taking people. Sasquatch is not eating people, for the most part. Oh, sure, every now and then I get the call for the occasional rogue, but they're few and far between. More importantly, instead of a Sasquatch, 9 times out of 10, it's one of these guys. And these guys are very good at what they do, at tracking a human being. And I will say this, if they are this good at tracking you, imagine how good they are at hunting you. So you will never see it coming. So please, always be aware of your surroundings. I always tell people that if you are out hiking and you see one of these creatures, do yourself a favor. Go to the top, and I mean the top, very top of a high tree, to the thinnest part of the tree, and wait until it leaves. Wait until it's out of the area, because these things cannot climb a tree safely. The Shovachito can climb a few feet, but he's not that good. So the higher up the tree you go, the worse skills he has. And that's what's going to be saving you, because you cannot outrun this guy. You cannot outrun the Wahila. Okay, and Ofi is not going to want to deal with you. He's going the opposite direction. But Neshovachita will hunt you. And I believe with all of my being that that is what is making people disappear in the forest. Sure, some of them are walking into portals. I'll give them that. But when you are finding bones and other scraps of clothing that have been torn, you're not finding something that has been torn and shredded by a Bigfoot. You're finding something that has been torn and shredded and eaten by Neshovachito or Wahila. These guys are big, these guys are scary, and these guys will hunt you. Now, I'm going to end this show on that note. The next show is going to be about face eaters. And yes, I know that sounds terrifying in and of itself. And they are. And I'm going to tell you what you can do to avoid them, what they look like, and how to stay away from them, to keep you and your family and everyone else that you care about alive and healthy. Until then, my friends, I hope you have a nice night, a safe night, and remember, always be aware of what is around you, in the woods and out of the woods as well, because there are things out there that want to eat you.